So in today's video, I want to talk about the Pixelbook GO. Now, a quick disclaimer, Google did send me this laptop for free, but that will not skew my thoughts and opinions about this device. I'm gonna say it how it is, just like any other video. And just to throw this in here, if you guys want a chance to win the Pixel 4 XL with 2 Rhinoshield cases, make sure you read the description below. So just some quick information about the types of computers that I used in my life. Pretty much every single computer that I've owned was Apple. Either a MacBook Pro or the iMac that I'm using right here, right now. So when Google asked me if I wanted to review this product, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I honestly didn't even know exactly what a Chromebook was. So I guess in other words, this review is gonna be based on a person that has literally never used a Chromebook, ever. So first things first, as always, let's talk about the build quality. The build of this laptop is incredibly comfortable. The top of the device, or the lid, whatever you want to call it, is magnesium. In fact, the whole thing is magnesium, but it has this kind of coated feel to it that feels like plastic, but not in a bad way. And the bottom of the laptop has that same coated feel, but it's wavy pattern, so it'll help you kind of grip it. But if you look closer, you will see that this laptop doesn't have your standard 4 rubber feet. It has 2 lines of feet on either side of it, so this thing will literally not slip or slide on the table whatsoever. The sides of the laptop contain 1 USB-C port on each side and a headphone jack. After turning it on, I was actually pleasantly surprised on how quick and responsive this laptop is. They sent me the Intel Core i5 with 128 gigs of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM, which in my opinion, from the little research that I've done about Chromebooks, is kind of overkill. It had no lags, no stutters, nothing. I mean, this thing is completely just, it flies through whatever you kind of push it through. And did I mention, this thing is completely silent. There are no fans anywhere on this device, which is kind of a good thing if you like to use your laptop on maybe a couch or on your actual lap, or maybe in your bed, because with laptops that has fans and vents for fans, for the airflow, if you put it on your bed, the bed is gonna stop the airflow. Your computer's gonna get too hot. The fans are gonna start spinning up really loudly. This 100% silent, nothing. You can't hear anything. Speaking of quiet, the keyboard on this laptop is by far the most comfortable keyboard I have ever used. And I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. There's actually more travel to the keys when compared to the MacBook or MacBook Pro, and the keyboard is so quiet. Like, I'm so used to the MacBook Pro's keyboard, which if you guys have ever typed on, you'll know that it sounds like a fully automatic AK-47 going off in your room. Imagine hearing someone typing in a library. You're gonna start ducking. So Apple needs to take some notes on this design, because again, I wish I was kidding, but this really is the most comfortable keyboard I have ever typed on. The keys, whenever you press down on a key, it goes down evenly, which I guess the MacBook Pro does too, but there's more travel, so whenever you type on it, it just feels satisfying. You get that nice feedback, and you can definitely write for hours on end and really not get any fatigue. It's just a really nice keyboard. Another thing I love about this keyboard is that it is backlit. Now, the lights don't actually stay on all the time, especially at night, but whenever you touch a key, the lights come on, and then after about 20 seconds, the lights dim until there is no light anymore. Then all you gotta do is just click a key again, and the lights come back on. Now, obviously, they did that to save battery. Each key is individually lit. There is no light bleeding around the key, and overall, whenever you're typing at night, it's a nice clean look. Now, as I've mentioned before, I have never used Chrome OS. Again, I literally didn't know what it was until just like a few weeks ago when they sent me the email. I was like, huh, what's a Pixelbook? I looked it up. I was like, huh, nope, didn't ring a bell. So when I first booted this thing up, again, I had no idea on what it really is. But when I started using it, I didn't find any problems. I didn't have any hard time trying to figure stuff out. Everything is pretty kind of nice and simple. It's kind of a low version of like Mac OS. It kind of reminds me of Mac OS, but it's not like a full operating system. One cool thing I found out literally immediately is that if you pair your phone to the laptop, it can be an Android, I think an iPhone, I'm not entirely too sure. If you guys know, leave your comments down below. But I know it worked from a Pixel, obviously, and it works from a OnePlus as well. But if the laptop is, let's say you put the screen down, when you lift it up, you can either have smart lock takeover, so if the computer notices that the phone is nearby, you won't have to put in a password. But obviously for security reasons, you can change that, so you have to put in a password every time. And another cool thing is that you can use your phone as the password. So your computer will stay locked until you either A, put in the password, or B, unlock your phone. So whenever, like for example, on the OnePlus 7T, I use the fingerprint sensor and then it unlocks the laptop. So that's really convenient, especially if you like to have those really long passwords. You don't want to have to put it in every time. You can either use a smart lock or unlock by using your phone. That's awesome. Now, since Chrome OS is very light, I think 8 gigabytes is pretty good. I mean, there is a 16 gig version that they sell, but honestly, 16 gigs of RAM for a Chrome OS device, at least from what I've done on research, that seems to be a lot. Like that's overkill, to be honest, because you're not really running full desktop applications on this laptop. So I think 16 gigs is a little too much. I think you should stick with 8. And plus it's more cost efficient, so definitely stick with 8. Now the price of this particular model is $850, okay? After doing some very quick digging around, I did notice that it is a little bit on the pricey side. Now again, I haven't really used any Chromebook except the ones that I saw on display at Best Buy, for example, so I personally cannot comment if this is worth it, considering that other Chromebooks are hovering around the $300, $400 range. So let me know in the comments below, is this a good price for what it is? But I am kind of judging the price, for example, when comparing to the iPad Pro, because the iPad Pro is also roughly $800-ish if you upgrade it a little bit, because 64 gigs is not enough for an iPad at all. I mean, if you're gonna be actually using it to its limits, you know. But then you gotta add on that keyboard, which is like $130, $150. So now you're looking at close to $1,000 for an iPad Pro running iPad OS. So if you compare this thing to an iPad Pro, yeah, I would much rather have this 100%. Now the speakers are very nice. They do produce a very good sound. Here's a quick example. The microphone is obviously right here on my neck. I'm sitting pretty much where I would normally sit when using a laptop. So let me go ahead and just play some quick music. I'm gonna put the volume all the way up. It's very loud, and it does get tinny at the high end. So if you want like crisp audio, just don't put it all the way up. I'm on my own, it's pretty good. I feel the rain crashing. So yeah, I mean, you guys probably can't tell, you know, quality difference from this microphone. So, but yeah, believe me when I say this, they are good, especially if you're watching movies. Everything sounds clear, but music, if you blast it all the way on max volume, it does get slightly tinny. The MacBook Pros are better speakers, but these for a Chromebook, for how thin it is, it's definitely A+. The trackpad is very responsive and has similar gestures to the MacBook, and the screen is full HD, and it's also a touchscreen. I mean, come on, what's not to like? Well, I'll tell you. The screen is great, but I wish it was a little bit brighter. Indoors, it's perfect. Indoors, it's like the most perfect kind of viewing experience angle ever. But when you take it outside in the bright sun, maybe if you want to go type up a book, you want to become the next New York Times bestseller, right? Oh, my back itches. If you go outside, you might want to sit under like a roof inside of a building. Pretty much, you don't want to take it outside unless it's like an overcast day, because the brightness could be a little bit better. But again, for the price range, I'm not entirely sure if this is like normal for Chromebooks, you know, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. But indoors, I have a full brightness right now. Yeah, it's perfect. I have no problem with it indoors, but outdoors, yeah, it's a little on the not bright side. Now, Google does say this battery will last 12 hours, and maybe if you use it at like 50% of screen brightness, but I use mine at 100% brightness because, you know, that's me. And this, I still found it to last around 6-7 hours, maybe 7 hours and 30 minutes. You know, that's fine. That really is fine. I can't complain. And if that is a problem to you, here is some good news. This thing actually does support quick charge. So a 20-minute charge will give you 2 extra hours of use. That is awesome, because think about it. Let's say you go into a coffee shop, right? You're writing your next book, right? New York Times bestseller. You plug it in for 20 minutes, boom. You got 2 hours charge, unplug it, and go on to the next coffee shop. Why do I think everyone writes books in coffee shops? Is that true, by the way, in New York? Is that like a very New York thing to do? Again, let me know in the comments. I'm curious now. How much money do they spend on Starbucks? So will this computer be replacing your gaming PC or your editing PC? No, but it's not supposed to, at least in my eyes. I think it's really meant for the people who want convenience, who like a very lightweight machine. I mean, I don't want to do it, but I can throw this thing and it's just so light. It's nice. The typing experience is perfect. It's quiet, it has no fans, it's a touch screen. I mean, I don't really care if it's a touch screen. I never really use touch screen because I don't want my fingerprints to be on the, you know, screen. But I think it's kind of for people that just want to be portable, lightweight, it's very quick, it's fast, it does what you need it to do. And if you're a student, you use a lot of G Suite apps, and all you really do is just take notes and you want something with great battery life, I think it's good. I mean, I don't know. I haven't used a Chromebook, so I don't know if 850 bucks is like okay. But if it was me, if I went out and bought this with my own money, $850, I wouldn't be mad. Like you know, it's pretty good. In fact, it's so good. The only thing I would really change on it is just make the screen a little bit brighter, and that's pretty much it. Again, one downside of Chrome OS is that you don't have a full desktop application. I mean, you can't run full desktop application. So for example, someone on Twitter asked me to edit my next video about the Chromebook on my Chromebook. Unfortunately, I found out really quick that you cannot download any editing software on this computer. I found one and I deleted it in like 10 minutes. I uploaded a 4K 60 video clip to it. It played smoothly on the timeline. I was really surprised. It was a 4K 60 from my iPhone. It played really good in the timeline. I was pretty surprised considering this thing doesn't have any fans. So this chipset is obviously going to be underclocked by a lot. It still did it really good, but the interface of that application was trash. And I looked at the reviews, that was the best one that was in the Google Play Store. So just understand, if you get this, you will not be able to edit any videos, at least without punching this thing in the face, from being angry because the interface is bad with the apps that you can use with it. And that makes me sad because this thing is built like a tank. It's the best typing experience I've had on a laptop in forever. The trackpad is as good, maybe not as good, but very close to a MacBook Pro. But you just can't really use all the applications that you guys might be used to. If the model I have here was 700 instead of 850, and the base model instead of 650, it was 500, I think that would compete more with the Chromebooks that, for example, I saw at Best Buy. So I leave you guys here with this. What do you think about the Pixelbook Go? Leave your comments down below. This was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.